Let's talk about why Donald Trump is making Americans sick and what we can do about it. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. Donald Trump is making Americans sick. And I don't mean that figuratively, like, oh man, that dude is making me sick. I mean it in the literal sense. We've seen Donald Trump head up an administration that refuses to do what other governments around the world have done to try to get a handle on this deadly pandemic. Other countries have taken necessary steps to flatten the curve, to reduce the spread of the infection, to protect their citizens. But not Donald Trump. Think about it. Donald Trump refuses to even invoke the Defense Production Act, a law that allows a president to order American manufacturers to produce what's needed to keep Americans safe and healthy. PPE, right? Personal protective equipment, masks, gowns, gloves, the supplies necessary to protect our healthcare workers. So supply shortages continue in the U.S. He wouldn't use the Defense Production Act to order the manufacture of test kits. So the U.S. lags behind many other countries in the rate of testing per capita. Instead, Donald Trump just keeps telling us things like, well, we have to live with the virus. We have to open up our country. Some people are going to get sick. Some people are going to get infected. We're going to lose loved ones. Americans will die. This is Donald Trump's plan? The reality is it didn't have to be this way. Think about South Korea. Right? South Korea had its first diagnosed case of coronavirus on the same day that we in America had our first diagnosed case of coronavirus. Today, we have more than 130,000 dead Americans. South Korea, 285 deaths. Well, you might say, yeah, but South Korea has a smaller population. True, South Korea has about 50 million people. In America, we have about 330 million people. So let's norm for the population. Let's multiply by 7 South Korea's numbers, so 350 million people. They would still have less than 2,000 deaths to America's more than 130,000 deaths. We are indeed number one. But it didn't have to be that way. Now, Donald Trump seems to be walking away from his responsibilities, walking away from his obligation to protect Americans. He's, in fact, affirmatively doing some things. He's orchestrating circumstances that increase the risk of infections to the American people. Donald Trump is holding rallies, in-person rallies. No social distancing. Did you see the video from his Tulsa rally where when his campaign workers were setting up, they were pulling "Do Not Sit Here" stickers off of every other seat? His rally at Mount Rushmore, he had the chairs zip-tied together with people packed in shoulder to shoulder, putting each other at risk. No masks required. Heck, when you look at pictures, there were very few masks in evidence anywhere. You might as well just set up coronavirus kissing booths at the entrance to Trump rallies. He seems to be orchestrating circumstances that are designed to spread the infection. And the question is, why? Can I suggest one possible answer? If you saw the Newsweek article published a few days ago, it talked about how Donald Trump and Bill Barr may actually be putting pieces in place to try to negate the November election results in the event Trump loses. Now, there's a healthy debate going on about whether the roadmap set out in that Newsweek article is plausible or even possible, and there has been a robust debate on both sides of that issue. I urge you to read what people have been writing about it, but I'm not going to rely on the plausibility of the entire article or roadmap set out therein. Instead, I want to focus on three things, three data points, and see what they tell us about where Trump is trying to lead us. First of all, what has Trump been saying about China? Second, what has Trump been saying about the virus? And third, what has Trump been saying about the upcoming election? Let's put those things together and see if we can see where Donald Trump is trying to push American sentiment. First of all, back on April 19th, there is this headline. Trump said China may have started the coronavirus deliberately as Trump top advisors claim that attacking Beijing may be the best way for the president to save his job. I smell a political strategy emerging. Then about 10 days later, another headline, April 30th. Trump says China's handling of the coronavirus is part of a plot to make him lose the re-election. And then yesterday's tweet from Donald Trump, China has caused great damage to the United States and the rest of the world. You know, Donald Trump ain't exactly subtle, but he's pretty transparent regarding what he's trying to pull. Donald Trump's re-election strategy is to whip up anti-China sentiment and then claim that China interfered in the November elections. Think about it. What better way to whip up anti-China sentiment than to say China deliberately sent the coronavirus to the United States and it's out of control, right? Make China the villain. Make China the evildoer. Make China the enemy. China is the source of all of our problems, and now they've tried to interfere in our elections. You know, Donald Trump is probably hoping that the American people don't look too hard or think too much about that theory. Because if China were to intervene or interfere in our election, wouldn't they, like Russia, probably interfere to try to help Donald Trump get elected so they could keep taking advantage of him and of us? But still, from Donald Trump's perspective, any vehicle to undermine confidence in November's election will get things headed in the direction that Donald Trump and Bill Barr want them to go. So like I say, what better way to maximize anti-China sentiment than blame the out-of-control infection rate on China rather than on the Trump administration? So how do you ensure that the infection rate in the U.S. is out of control come this fall? You open up the country with no mandatory federal guidelines, no required masks, no federally mandated social distancing. You hold big old Trump rallies with no social distancing at all and no masks required so that the attendees can carry the coronavirus back to their communities. Does it matter that Donald Trump is putting his own supporters most at risk? Does Donald Trump even care? Let me circle back to the Newsweek article because it sets out a couple of things. One, it sets out that if Donald Trump loses in November, he will blame it on China. Two, Donald Trump will then invoke the National Emergencies Act and he'll direct Bill Barr to open a national security investigation into China's alleged interference in the presidential election. Bill Barr will comply, right? Because Bill Barr believes that if a president says it, it is lawful. Bill Barr is cut from that Richard Nixon cloth that if a president does it, it can't be illegal. Now, there's a good bit of disagreement about what the consequences are of an open national security investigation into possible outside interference by an adversary in our presidential elections. It may be able to avoid an election, it may not be able to avoid an election, but here's the thing. Bill Barr and Donald Trump can create extreme chaos and confusion involving the election results. And what we have seen for 3+ years is that amidst chaos, Donald Trump's corruption thrives. So what can we do about it? First of all, and perhaps most obviously, don't attend Trump rallies. I don't say that based on politics. I say it based on public health. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect your friends, protect your neighbors, protect strangers. Second, get out to the polls in record numbers, and to the polls take your family and your friends and your neighbors and strangers. We've got to vote in numbers that are too large to plausibly contest. You know, let's make the 2018 midterm blue wave look like a puddle of collected rainwater as compared to a 2020 blue tidal wave. And finally, Congress, if you're listening, please open impeachment hearings into Bill Barr. Issue subpoenas, and if they are ignored, enforce them with your lawful inherent contempt power. Folks, we know where Donald Trump and Bill Barr are headed. Let's cut them off at the pass. Folks, please stay safe. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.